All right, hello everybody. Tom Miller here. I've been working on this for a while, and I've been tweaking it and refining it. But Mr. Sunday Movies just put out a video that seems very similar, so I want to put mine out before I watch his, because I don't want to be influenced by his. Also, apparently, my account on the system I use for screen recording now limits me to 5 minutes, so we're going to try and breeze through this. So, first of all, let's just look at what we've got so far for Phase 4 in the MCU. Big things I want to focus on here are multiple universes, new characters, and different organizations. So I'm going to speed through this. WandaVision, we got a new organization of Sword. We got new characters with Photon and the kids. And we got this kind of different universe with the Hex. Loki, we've got a new organization, the TVA. We've got new characters with Kang and Sylvie and all the agents. And we've got Multiverse, Falcon and the Winter Soldier. We've got new characters with US Agent. We've got new organizations, whatever Fontaine is working for. No new universes in that one, so that's a little bit smaller scale. Black Widow, we've got new Black Widow characters. We've got the Red Room, which is not a new organization, but it's kind of a new way that we are looking at it. Again, no other universes there. Shang-Chi, he's a new character. We've got this other dimension of, what is it, Talo, and the organization of the Ten Rings that, again, we had heard of before, but we had kind of, not known their true origins. What If, that looks at lots of different versions of characters over different multiverses, and we learn about the Watcher. Hawkeye, we get new Hawkeye, we get Echo, we get the organizations of the Mafia. No new universes there, though, right? So not all of these have all three of these, but we're getting patterns, is my point. Eternals, we got new characters. We've got the organization, I guess you could call it, of the Celestials, which predate our universe, which means they come from other universes, right? Moon Knight, we get a new character. We get this Egyptian afterlife, so this new dimension that we're looking at, and kind of the organization of that pantheon of gods. Spider-Man No Way Home, we get... do we get new characters in Spider-Man No Way Home? Not really. We get new looks, new twists on returning characters. I guess we don't really get any new ones, though. But we bring in a lot of other universes. Again, not all of these have all three of them. Doctor Strange 2, we get a new character with America Chavez, new universes, a new organization in the Illuminati. Ms. Marvel, we get new characters, a new organization of the Clandestines, and the dimension of, what did they call it? I can't remember, but their dimension. Thor 4, Thor Love and Thunder, we get new characters, we get Love, and we get Eternity, which is another cosmic entity that predates the universe, so we don't really get a multiverse, but we get this creature that predates the universe, and we get the Omnipotent City, this organization made up of different pantheons of gods. And the rest of these have yet to come out, but keep those things in mind. Black Panther 2, we know we're getting a couple new characters, Namor and Ironheart. We're going to see the new organization of the Atlanteans. I'm using organization fairly loosely, a new group of people. So we're going to see the Atlanteans. Will we see some multiverse stuff? I don't know, but, Black Panther already deals with the ancestral plane, which is another dimension. If you don't know about all the dimensions and realms and stuff in the MCU, I have another video explaining all of that, so go check that out if you haven't yet. She-Hulk, we're going to get some new characters. We're going to get this organization of, the lawyers specifically for superheroes. Don't know if we're going to get any multiversal stuff there. Werewolf by Night and I Am Groot, I know very little about. So that's what we've got so far with Phase 4. I'm about at my time limit, so I'm going to stop this, start another video, and I guess I'll just edit a bunch of videos together. So let's move on to Phase 5. So we move to... Oh, what is happening? We move to Phase 5. And we've got a lot of announcements here. We've got the Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special, Ant-Man 3. Let's go one at a time here. Ant-Man 3, we're going to get more of the quantum realm, some more dimensional happening things. We're going to get our first real look at Stature. and of Kang the Conqueror. So we got new characters. Kang the Conqueror versus He Who Remains. Secret Invasion, not too much is known about that. Probably going to see a different organization of Skrulls other than the version that we've seen before. And probably we'll get some new Skrull characters. Guardians of the Galaxy. Don't know much about that. But Adam Warlock is going to be a new character that we've technically seen before, but not really. Don't know how that's going to work with organizations or multiverse stuff yet. Echo, again, very little is known about. The Marvels. Now, we know we're getting at least 3. Captain Marvel, Photon, and Ms. Marvel. I've seen a lot of speculation that Marvel Boy might show up. And it's in space, so different universes, different creatures, different alien races that could be considered organizations, all on the table. Loki, it's going to be more of the same. Ironheart, new character. Other than that, we don't know much about it. Blade, new character. We're going to get this new world of monsters and vampires, which is going to be continuing on from, Werewolf by Night. We're getting werewolves. Now we're getting vampires. So we're opening up this new hidden world of these monsters in the MCU. Agatha, Coven of Chaos. Don't know much about that yet. Daredevil. Don't know much about that yet. Captain America, New World Order. So a lot of these we don't know much about. Thunderbolts, it's going to be, not a new organization because we've already seen the beginnings of it, but, a new focus for a movie. And moving on to Phase 6, we're going to have the Fantastic Four, a new group we haven't seen yet. The Kang Dynasty, Avengers Kang Dynasty, and Avengers Secret Wars. So those are kind of the big 3 themes that I think we're going to be seeing throughout the Multiverse Saga. There's new characters, different universes, realms, dimensions, what have you, afterlives, and new organizations, whether that be groups, crime syndicates, alien races, Atlantean races, monsters. We're going to be seeing new types of characters. Now, we also have a lot of dates that they gave us. 2 different dates in the fall of 2024. Winter 2024, winter 2025. Spring 25 twice. Summer 25 twice. So we've got 8 dates that they've told us are coming, but we have not been told what's going to go there yet. So let's talk about what that is likely to be based on what we've already heard is in production. So we've got What If Season 2. It's coming sometime in 2023. Spider-Man 4 is in development. Now, maybe they didn't include that because that's technically a Sony movie. I don't know. Spider-Man Freshman Year, the animated TV series, is supposed to be coming 2024. Armor Wars, which was not mentioned at Comic-Con, but the creator has confirmed that, yes, it's still in the works. Going to deal with Rhodey, picking up some of the pieces left behind by Tony. Randy Birch? Sonny Birch. Walton Gogginson's character from Ant-Man and the Wasp will be in that. X-Men 97, they're hyping up quite a bit. More on that later. We know they're working on some kind of X-Men movie. It's reportedly being called The Mutants, possibly because of this weird... I don't know if it's true, but I've seen that there's weird contract rules with... If they make a new X-Men movie, they've got to honor old contracts with old actors, but if they call it something else, who knows? Deadpool 3 we know is in the works. And Shang-Chi 2 is also in the works. Will it focus on the Ten Rings organization? Will it focus on this weird energy signature coming from the Ten Rings as was teased at the end? Who really knows? But these are all things that have been confirmed to be at least in development, if not given an actual release date. In terms of a year, none of these have an actual day announced yet. But I've got to, in this recording, start a new one. So let's move on here. So those are the things that are confirmed, but there's quite a bit more that, we can be reasonably sure is on its way. We've got new Avengers. I've made a video about this. We know it's coming, right? They just haven't announced it yet. They're saving that. Something with the Black Knight. Now, is that going to be brought into the Blade movie? Is that going to be combined with something else? Is it going to be its own project? We don't know, but why would they set him up if they're not going to go anywhere with him? We'll come back to Victor Timely in a moment. We've got Wonder Man reportedly being worked on. We've got some kind of sequel to the Eternals. Now, this might have been where Black Knight was going to go in, but we've also got the introduction of Star Fox and Pip the Troll, so seems like that's going to be very different from something that might involve the Black Knight, but, who knows? It's hard to say. We've heard rumors of a Marvel Zombies series or other project in the works. We've heard that there's a Wakanda series in the works. Now, these three names that I've got here, because we're leading to Kang, right? That's the big bad for at least most of this saga. Looks like is going to be Kang, but Kang has several different several different variants, several different versions, several different identities that he uses throughout time, and we're going to get to some of the bigger ones later, but I would not at all be surprised if we start seeing some of these different versions of Kang popping up in different projects. Victor Timely is a version that exists, I think, in the very early 1900s, but they can change any of this, right? They don't follow the comics exactly. The Black Knight is a title that's been given to multiple characters throughout different time periods. So we might see a Black Knight film focusing on a different period of time, perhaps focusing on multiple periods of time, that might have some version of Victor Timely to tie it into the rest of, because this is pretty different from a lot of this other stuff. So that might tie it into the rest of the saga. Scarlet Centurion is another identity that I believe has more to do with space and alien stuff rather than Earthbound stuff. Could be wrong on that. I'm not super familiar with these different versions of Kangs, but we could see the Eternals that are out in space, or perhaps the ones working with Arishem could encounter other versions of Kang. And then Mr. Griffin is a version that is in the quote-unquote present day that works as a CEO and a businessman. So I can see something like that popping up in Wakanda, trying to make some business deals with Wakanda, trying to get a hold of that Wakandan tech. Maybe it's something in the background between Wakanda and whatever's going on with Namor. Speaking of, would not be surprised at all if Namor gets his own project. But maybe they want to shy away from that since Aquaman has stuff going on over at DC. We know they've announced one Fantastic Four movie, but I've got to believe that we're getting more than one Fantastic Four project and more than one X-Men project before we hit Secret Wars. And I'll get more into that later, but I've got to expect that we're getting more than one movie each from each of them. Then, of course, we also got whatever Sony's doing, which isn't really part of this universe, but it still kind of affects it, so you still kind of got to talk about it. So we've got 8 dates that they've announced without titles. We've got 8 titles that they've announced without dates, but now we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Let's ignore Sony. Let's ignore Namor and Black Knight, because those might just be parts of other things. That gives us 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 other projects. Plus anything else that I've missed. Maybe Mr. Sunday Movies. James, what are you talking about in that video? I want to watch it. Hope you enjoy your month off, buddy. You've earned it. How do we deal with this? How do we deal with all these other projects that don't seem to have places to go? Well, there are more places that they can go. There are gaps in this timeline, and we're going to look at that. So where are these gaps at? Well, one of the first big ones is here in January 2023. If we work backwards a little bit, we've got stuff almost every month. Not exactly every month, but pretty close. So we had November, December, nothing for January, February, March, going into April for Moon Knight. Then May we had Doctor Strange. June, Ms. Marvel. July, Thor. August, we're getting 2, I Am Groot and She-Hulk. Nothing for September, although She-Hulk might go into September. I'd have to look at a calendar to figure that out. October, we're getting this Werewolf by Night. November, Black Panther 2. And December, the Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special. But then our next thing isn't until February. So we've got a block in January where they could slot one of these things in. Could be a small miniseries. Could be probably not going to be a movie in January of 2023 that we don't know of. But a lot of these things could go straight to Disney Plus. So moving on from January, then we've got February. Then we've got spring, which could be March. But April is open. Depending on when this gets released, it might cover both March and April, but, March or April could be open. Then we've got May, the Guardians of the Galaxy. Now, Echo is listed as summer, so we'll call that June. Then we've got July for the Marvels. Again, Loki just says summer, so we'll call that August, which leaves a gap. We've got fall, could be September, and then we've got October. All right, nothing in October. November, we've got Blade. December into January, we've got Agatha, House of Harkness, which leaves a gap for February, right? Then March. Now we've got Daredevil here. This could throw this whole concept off because this is 18 episodes. I don't know if that's going to be weekly. I don't know if they're dropping them all at once. I don't know if they're going to drop multiple a week. Really no idea how that's going to go. So a lot of this time period could be covered by Daredevil. But let's say that's, March, April. Then we've got May, Captain America, New World Order. June, we have nothing slated for yet. July, we've got the Thunderbolts. Then June, July, we've got Fall 24. So if we've got June, July, August, September, we've got a gap in October. Then we've got November for Fantastic Four. December, January, which means we've got a break for February. All right, then spring, we've got March, April, Kang Dynasty in May. Then we've got 2 summer projects here, June, July, but then we skip to November. So between July and November, we've got August, September, and October. And this is where I think we're going to get a lot more of this Fantastic Four and X-Men lead up into Secret Wars. And I'm going to explain how I think all that's going to work here in a bit. But we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 more slots that they just haven't told us about that still exist. So we've got these 8 here, which could be filled by these 8, not necessarily 1-to-1. I'm just counting number of slots here. But then we got 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, actually, if we count everything on here. And we've got 6 to 9 projects here, depending on how you count it, which leaves us even more that I haven't identified yet, right? More to speculate on. So that's what we're looking at for the timeline. Let's talk about what I think we're going to see for the storytelling. So moving forward, I think we are going to focus on 3 different prongs. 3 different universes within the MCU multiverse. We're going to have the main one that we know, which I'm going to label as the Avengers universe. We're going to have the Fantastic Four universe, and we're going to have the X-Men universe. Now, I want to clarify, this is not an official prediction. This is just a theory. No, this is just, my thoughts based on the limited knowledge that I have, based on trends that we've seen before from Marvel Studios. This is just a broad guess at where I think we're going to go. All right, so don't take this as, this is all confirmed based on insider knowledge that I don't claim in my sources. No, this is just what I'm thinking. I think we're going to focus on these 3 different universes, and I think we're going to have versions of Kang showing up in all 3. Now, they could mix and match these. They could make up totally new versions like they did with He Who Remains. They could call them different names, right? I'm just using placeholders. Iron Lad is a version of Kang that went back in time to start the Young Avengers to stop Kang. So I'm putting Iron Lad in the Avengers prong. Immortus, I think, normally would be more associated with the X-Men, but either one of these you could flip-flop. I'm putting it with the Fantastic Four because I think with the Fantastic Four, we're going to be seeing more space travel and dimension travel, which makes Immortus, to me, make more sense. Although time travel could bring in Ramatut. The reason I'm putting Ramatut in with X-Men is because Ramatut has ties to Apocalypse. Although I don't know if they're going to redo Apocalypse again so soon. But it's like, if they're going to really do the X-Men right, they got to do Apocalypse at some time. And Ramatut has some ties there. So, I'm not super 100% on which one of these goes where. The point is, I think we're going to see different versions of Kang throughout these different branches. That's the word I want, branches, including these kind of smaller versions that I've already mentioned. So keep an eye out for different versions of Kang. Now, I think we're going to have some main themes and main threats in each of these branches. I can speak. I know how to talk. Words are easy. I've already talked about monsters. We're getting Werewolf by Night. We're getting Blade. We're getting things like, She-Hulk. I don't know if we're going to get an actual Marvel Zombies project, but, end of Doctor Strange, we had a Zombie Strange. So we're getting monsters in the MCU, which I think could tie into when the X-Men finally come over. If people are now used to dealing with new monsters coming out of the woodwork, and then they see creatures like Mystique and Beast and Nightcrawler and Marrow, that could be a big part of why, even in a world where everyone's used to Iron Man and the Hulk and things like that, why people still fear the X-Men. It could be tied into these new monster threats that are coming out. So I think obviously we're getting mutants, right? End of Ms. Marvel gave us that little tease, so I think those two are going to be tied together. I've already talked about organizations, which probably isn't the right word for what I'm thinking, but hopefully you get the idea. Different groups of people and creatures and aliens and races and whatnot. And real Kang, we know, is making his first appearance in this branch because he's going to be in Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. Now, when we get to Fantastic Four and X-Men, I'm not as confident on these ones, but I have one prevailing thought, which is they're going to move past what we've already seen before. I don't think they're going to redo the Fantastic Four origin. I don't think they're going to redo the X-Men origin, at least not right now, not soon. I think they're going to do what they did with Hulk and what they did with Spider-Man and just assume that, hey, the general audience knows the basic deal with this. We're just going to move on and keep telling stories after that point. They could even use Deadpool to kind of hand wave away. Oh, you've seen this? Well, let's just, cut and paste from different, you could have on-screen Deadpool using a video editing software. Did I say Deadpool? Deadpool using a video editing software to, edit what we've already seen for what we have now. So I think they're going to start after where we've already seen these franchises. So, if we're talking Fantastic Four, that means I don't think Doom is going to be the primary villain. I don't think Galactus is going to be the primary villain. I think they're both going to already exist in that universe. Perhaps if we see some kind of a prelude, almost like what we got with the Incredible Hulk, where we just see this montage of scenes that have happened. I hope we'll see a version of Doom and Galactus there, but I don't think they're going to be the main threats of this Fantastic Four movie or any other Fantastic Four projects we get coming up pre-Secret Wars. So, Silver Surfer, we might see already as an ally, right? Maybe this other Fantastic Four project is a Silver Surfer project, right? Annihilus, I think, makes a lot of sense as a potential villain. We haven't seen him before, but he is a resident of the negative zone, so we're talking in multi-dimensional travel, stuff like that. Annihilus, I think, makes a lot of sense. Or if we want to keep it even simpler, we could do something like Mole Man, where it's on Earth, but, it's this different realm, the subterranean world, beneath the world. Mole Man is a classic Fantastic Four villain that's never really been seen in any movies that really came out. He's had a couple close encounters. Never quite made it. So that's kind of where I think the Fantastic Four franchise is going to go. As far as X-Men, that means Magneto and Apocalypse not going to be the main threat, I don't think, of the first projects. Again, I think they'll be there in the world. Magneto more so than Apocalypse because, I do think they're going to want to retell that Apocalypse story correctly, but I don't think that's going to be the focus right away. So, Mr. Sinister seems like the big obvious choice. That's kind of what they were working towards in things like Logan and Deadpool and New Mutants, but they never quite got there. So that seems like an easy place to pick up. high-profile villain that we've never seen. I would love to see the Shadow King. Now, apparently, he was a big deal on Legion. I tried to watch that. I never finished it. So I don't know if we ever saw, like, big blue Shadow King in the Shadow Realm. But again, if we're talking about multidimensional travel, the astral dimension could be, again, if you haven't seen my video on dimensions and realms and realities, go check that out. But the quantum realm, we know, is a realm that can get you from one universe to another, one reality to another. It could be perhaps that the the astral dimension could do something very similar. We know there are different planes in the astral dimension, like the astral plane and the ancestral plane and Valhalla, but perhaps if you go far enough, that could be another interdimensional gateway. And I would just love to see big giant Shadow King in the astral plane tearing down X-Men. I don't know. I think Mr. Sinister is more likely. Shadow King, I think I just want to see some of those video game boss fights that I've played in different video games. I want to see that on the big screen. But let's move on to talking about the progression that I see happening. For Avengers, New World Order, I think, will end with most of the mainline characters, the old school OG characters, being gone. Whether they've left on their own accord to a different time or a different dimension, or whether they've been taken against their will, the main heroes that are left, Hulk, Thor, Hawkeye, Iron Man's dead. Who am I missing? Captain America's old now, so there's not that many of them, right? Maybe some of the older replacements even, right? So maybe Sam Wilson, Captain America, maybe She-Hulk, although she's pretty new. But I think we're going to have the main line heroes gone. And in that vacuum, I think we're going to see the Thunderbolts rise. These villains that for one reason or other, and again, I've got a whole video about the Thunderbolts and the different motivations that they might have. Go check that out if you haven't watched it yet. But either they're going to want to try to rebrand themselves as a hero, or they're just going to try to get some public support. So we're going to get these villains stepping up to be fake heroes, which I think eventually will lead to the new Avengers rising up to stop this threat as it becomes more apparent that these are not genuine heroes. We're going to have the new Avengers, which I've got a whole video about the new Avengers. Check it out. They're going to step up to stop these guys who stepped up to fill in the gaps left at the end of New World Order. That's my thought. So if we move on to the Fantastic Four, I think we're going to either, we've seen them get their powers both extraterrestrially in the Tim Story films and interdimensionally in the, what's his name, film, Fantastic. So which one they start with could be either one. Again, I think we're mostly going to move past that. So let's say they get their powers from space. I think we're going to pick up on them exploring different dimensions. If they get their powers through dimensions, I think we're going to pick up on them traveling through space. But I think we're going to lead to time travel. Time travel is pretty common in Fantastic Four comics. It's already been introduced into the MCU, so the audience is on board. So this might make my whole Immortus Ramatut apocalypse thing, not quite work. If they're doing time travel, Ramatut does make a lot of sense. And maybe that's where we first see this version of Apocalypse is in the Fantastic Four, right? And then we know that that's in play for later, and then they don't have to worry about it in the X-Men movies. But I think we're going to get some combination of space, dimensions, and time travel. And, Annihilus obviously is in a different dimension. Mole Man, they could change it, right? He doesn't have to actually just be in the Earth's crust or in the Earth's core or whatever. He could be in another dimension. Just the gateway to that dimension is underground. They could easily do either one of these interdimensional. Annihilus could be extraterrestrial rather than interdimensional. And then time travel can get into all sort of shenanigans, right? Let's move on to the X-Men. Obviously, they always have to deal with mutant-human relations. I kind of had a thought at one point of what if the X-Men come from a world where everybody's a mutant, and it's not until they're brought into, the Avengers universe that then they're seen as different. But I really don't think that works. I don't think it works with the histories of some of the characters like Professor X and Magneto. I don't think it works to explain why they were a team in the first place if everyone was cool with mutants on their world. So I don't know. I think they might do something different, but I think mutant-human relations almost a given for an X-Men property. As I said, I hope to see stuff in the astral plane, which could work into the astral dimension that we've already seen in the MCU. Or if they want to go for the third time's a charm, we might see them working with more alien threats, including potentially the Phoenix, but, you know, maybe they do stuff with the Shi'ar or the Starjammers, and they don't bring in the Phoenix yet. Maybe they save that for later. But, again, very similar to Fantastic Four. We got extraterrestrial stuff and interdimensional stuff. I don't see the X-Men being as likely to deal with time travel, but, you know, they've done it. Days of Future Past is a time travel movie, so they could absolutely go back in time, or forward in time, or anywhere in time. Who knows? Now, I got a couple ideas for how I think all of this is going to tie together. So I touched on this a little bit before, but I think the mainline heroes from the MCU, so Bucky, Clint, Sam Wilson, Doctor Strange, Thor, Hulk, the Guardians, Captain Marvel, are going to be absent. I think something similar is going to happen with the Fantastic Four and the mainline X-Men. So I think we're going to have this main team in each of these three branches that all, for one reason or another, again, maybe voluntary, maybe involuntary, they are going to be absent from their timeline. Perhaps they are all chasing their own version of Kang. Perhaps Avengers Kang Dynasty is going to be 3 different universes in one, where we see each of these teams chasing down their own version of Kang. Then, on each world, there's going to be somebody that steps up to fill that power vacuum. On our world, it's going to be the the Thunderbolts, which will include some of these villains that are still kicking around. Fantastic Four, I think that's going to be Doom. That's where we're going to see Doom step in. Maybe one of these projects that, you know, to fill these gaps is just a Doctor Doom movie, right? The Fantastic Four. We've got a big gap between the Fantastic Four movie and that Secret Wars movie. So maybe the Fantastic Four are taken. Doom steps up. Doom claims a lot of power. And perhaps while they're all chasing Kang, Doom gains more and more power. And then at the end of Kang Dynasty, Doom puts Secret Wars into place, right? And then they go right from separately chasing down different Kangs to having to team up together to take down Doom, right? Makes sense, I think. In the X-Men universe, it could be Magneto stepping up, perhaps trying to, you know, fill the place of Charles, perhaps following his own goals. If we've got Sinister in place, then he can be doing some stuff, although he mostly is just concerned with, like, DNA, right? So maybe while the X-Men are not there to stop him, he's trying to get his New World Order. New World Order. His New World Order going. Or if we have sown some apocalypse seeds, perhaps he can use their absence as an opportunity to bring his New World Order. Everybody wants their own New World Order, but I think for all 3 of these, there's going to be a vacuum left by the main heroes that the villains step up and try to use that opportunity. And then we'll be thwarted by the rising heroes. So we've got the new Avengers in the mainline MCU. For the Fantastic Four, could go a couple different ways, depending on how they want to do it. If Silver Surfer is in play, it could just be him on his own. If they want to try to redo Inhumans without just straight redoing Inhumans, they could have the Inhumans introduced in a Fantastic Four movie and have them kind of, maybe they've met the Fantastic Four in an earlier project, right? But they've been secret from the world. So maybe they step up and, reveal themselves to try to stop the threat of Doctor Doom. Or maybe there's just a new team of Fantastic Four members. I know there have been a couple different ones in the comics. I'm not familiar with them, though. What's that crazy one with, like, Wolverine and Ghost Rider? I don't know. Could go a couple different ways. Or it could just be that, maybe some of the Fantastic Four gets taken, right? Maybe Reed and Sue go to chase down Kang, and then when Doom thinks that, oh, well, with Reed Richards gone, he's the only one smart enough to stop me, so then maybe Johnny and Ben have to try to figure out how to stop them together. Could be kind of an interesting pairing, seeing those two having to step up and be the big boys. Could go a couple different ways. X-Men could be a new team of X-Men. You could call it the New Mutants, whatever you want to do. I think they're going to step up. Or maybe, if there's multiple threats, right? If Magneto's doing his own thing and Sinister's doing his own thing and Apocalypse is doing his own thing, maybe there's a new team of X-Men or two new teams of X-Men, but there's also a group of new mutants that rises up to stop Sinister, who's experimenting with them, right? Lots of different things that you can do. I don't know how these guys are going to play into it. These seem like lower level ideas, and then Loki's separate, and the Eternals are kind of doing their own thing. I do have a theory that perhaps Kingpin is reporting to somebody. Could be the same person that Fontaine is reporting to. Could be the same person that the power broker, Sharon Carter, is reporting to. And it could be that the person that they're all reporting to is a Kang. So maybe that's how they all get involved. Maybe we see more things with, the multiple universes that the Hand is from. I don't know how all these play into it. I got to figure that out. And then I do think that by the end of this saga, right, if they're chasing down Kangs and then they're pulled into a battle world and have to take down Doom, I think by the time Secret Wars ends, before we move into what the next saga is going to be, which, by the way, I have some ideas. There will be a video on that in the future. I think we're going to see, a different type of Illuminati. Because I would not at all be surprised if after Secret Wars, these three universes go back to being separate, or, separate areas even within one universe. If they kind of make it like a merged universe, like an Earth Prime or something like that, similar to how the CW did theirs. But I think we are going to get some version of an Illuminati with some big players in the Avengers world. Doctor Strange, maybe someone from the Guardians, maybe someone else from space that's more responsible than the Guardians. Reed Richards from the Fantastic Four, maybe a Black Panther, depending on how, what happens in Black Panther 2. Could just be Namor and the Submariner. Maybe some of the Eternals, right? They could represent the space side. And then I think, Professor X can be in there. If we bring in the Inhumans, Black Bolt could be in there again. So I do think we're going to combine some major players from each of these sub-franchises and get an actual Illuminati going on before we move on to whatever comes next. So that's my huge, convoluted, complicated thoughts, not a prediction, but a theory on where I think this saga is going to go. Some of the open spaces that we know of, some of the open spaces that haven't been formally announced, but if you look between the lines, they're there. Some of the projects that we know of, some of the projects that we're expecting. But I really think that we're going to get more than one Fantastic Four property and more than one X-Men property before we get to Secret Wars. I think they're going to start separate, and then maybe, like I said, in Kang Dynasty, maybe they're all unknowingly involved in the same story, and then if Doom has risen to power in their absence, boom, we take them to Secret Wars. My big, what do I want to call it? Not a holdup. My big piece that's missing, I guess, is I've read the original Secret Wars story from like the 80s. I have not read the more recent Secret Wars story that this movie is probably going to pull more from. Although, you know how this works. Age of Ultron wasn't Age of Ultron. The Winter Soldier, the Civil War wasn't the Civil War. These adaptations of comic storylines are never really all that close. It's just the main idea. So why is Doom going to pull these guys together to fight? Is it just, is it like the Beyonder and he's just bored and he wants to make him do it? Does he want to specifically humiliate Reed? So he's trying to get these other creatures to fight them. Other beings to fight them. Are there going to be villains involved or not? My theory for what's going to be happening on the main worlds kind of works with the idea that they're not going to be involved. I don't know. So that's, which I don't want to know. I don't want to know exactly what's coming, but this is my broad spectrum ideas of what kinds of things we're going to see throughout this next saga. As I said, I'm working on a video for what I think could come next, not what I think will come next, but what I think could come next after you've done this. Where do you go from there? I'm going to have some videos coming up on some predictions or thoughts, ideas for X-Men movies. Who do I think will be on the team? Going to have some things coming up for some Fantastic Four movies on where that might go. So if you're interested in more long-term speculation like this, make sure you subscribe so that you see that stuff when it comes out. Thank you very much for watching this video. Hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions or comments, throw those down below. But we're going to stop it there. Thank you very much for watching. Have a good day.